Welcome to Link Dump episode 1. This is kind of a test episode to see if this idea has legs. What's up? My name is Joshua Hardesty of the musical act Halifax AD. Welcome to my channel if you've not been here before. Like probably most of you, throughout the course of days or weeks or months, I accumulate an insane amount of open tabs and windows on my phone, on my desktop, wherever. And I do this thing where you accumulate all these things with the idea that you're going to read them later, but you kind of never get around to it. What I used to do is, as a kind of weird public shaming, but also to force myself to actually digest or deal with the information, I would go through every open window on my phone and I would tweet out a link to it, because I tend to accumulate very strange things. For a long time, my favorite website was just a forum dedicated to cults, but not to people who are fascinated by cults, to people who join cults or whose family members have a predilection to join in cults. So the first post in nearly every article or every topic would always be, so I went to this group this weekend and it was really interesting, but I kind of think they might be a cult. One, if you ever find yourself asking that question, it's a cult. Run. But so that was like my favorite website. So my tabs would be filled with, bizarre stuff about people who send money to some dude in Hawaii so they can get a little jar of his toenail filings and eat them. Too much information. So what we're going to do today then is we're going to go through everything that I've got open right now in Chrome. This is my work computer, so it's a little less culty, or it's the computer I do my work on. It's probably missing some of the weirder stuff I might go down, but we'll end up checking out some new music, some videos, some interesting articles, and we will see if this is a good idea. All right, so our very first thing that's open, it's important because I need to point out that even though I used to do the Twitter thing, I stole this concept from Bert Kreischer.
And I had never had coffee before, and I had like 4 cups, and I was jacked. I ended up walking home that day.
He has this show called Open Tabs, where he does the same thing, but he drinks the entire time. We will not be doing that. I'm not an alcoholic. I'll be drinking lemon water. I really like the Bertcast. I like Bert Kreischer's stand-up. This show sucks so bad. It is super boring. It was pretty good when they had Frankenstein's Lab on as guests. It's a cool idea. I feel like he needs more people in to do it. But I will confess that I saw it and I thought, oh, I could do a better version of that. So that's going to be the test today. And what we're going to do here in the description for this episode, there will be a list of every single link that we're watching, so you can also decide for yourself. First thing that we got open here is my man John Weiss's Instagram, because he's got a new record out by his group Sissy Spacek. It's called Radio Format. It is a collection of live performances on Damian Romero's KXLU show. It's got a beautiful cover. John's one of the best graphic designers out there. All the John Weiss and Sissy Spacek stuff looks amazing, and Sissy Spacek is one of my favorite musical projects. I need to order this thing. It's a killer. It looks like a screen printed white box. Beautiful design. Each CD's got like a cool inner sleeve. Great typewriter typography. That's kind of been John's thing for a bit. I mean, that looks so sick. Let's see, how much is it? It's $25, so it's not bad. He's got this new bundle for December 2021. He's been on a tear of putting out good stuff. Cherry Point Airway, Smegma CD, Form Hunter CD. But what I really want is that. And man, you know what? Let's do something here. I'm notorious to myself, not to anyone else, for having all these tabs open of things that I want to buy. a lot of times my friends things that I want to buy, but I hate doing mail order. I don't know why. I do not like ordering stuff, but John's the man. So let's just buy this right now. It's in the cart. Imagine my PayPal's got enough to cover this. Do a little autofill action there. This is not what I was expecting to do with this, but it's kind of fun. So let's do it. I have to admit, I've been a little more inclined to do mail order over the last 2 years because I know how many people, especially artists and musicians, are suffering because they lost a huge amount of income by not being able to either play shows or tour or even be allowed to be out in the world face to face. So if we can give John some money, can't hate on that. It's weird. I don't know why I'm so weird about mail ordering stuff, considering how easy it is. So, got myself a Christmas present. Close that one out. So, if you want to check out Sissy Spacek, they're on Bandcamp, they're on Spotify. There are probably other places too. Those are the two for me. Fuck it, we're here. Let's listen to some Sissy Spacek. I haven't heard this Besiege record yet. Let's see what the description is on this one. Sounds by Mama and Weiss. Now, this is just going to be coming straight through my headphones, so I'm not sure how great it's going to sound because I can't listen to it with headphones. This tune is called Rectangular Motion, 9 minutes, 55 seconds. It came out last May on Damien Records. Let's adjust that. So this one, so this one's a straight harsh noise tune. Sissy Spacek stuff is all over the place. There's cut up collagey shit. There's stuff that's an actual band. There's stuff that's straight noise. You never know what you're getting. Let's check out one of the things that's more of in the band mode. This is Featureless Thermal Equilibrium, which is Charlie Mama, John Weiss, and Jay Randall from Agoraphobic Nosebleed. He was in ISIS for a minute. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Let's see what we got here. This record I've listened to a lot last year. Very badass, high-octane record. It's really tough to tell whether it's straight improvising or whether it's layering stuff because there's so much happening at once. Headphones on, it's a pretty intense, awesome experience. So give some love to John on that front. We're not going to listen to that whole thing because I already know what it sounds like. I'm not doing like a reaction video. All right, but now we are doing a reaction video. So, New Noise Magazine. This is a place I go and look for new noise rock, indie rock, hardcore kind of shit. Track premiere, The Poison Arrows, Shallow Grave. Poison Arrows is a trio out of Chicago. Justin, whose last name escapes me, Justin Sinkovich from Thumbnail, and what was that fantastic other band? He was in another band on Southern Records that was incredible. Justin Sinkovich. He's in this band. I think it started as a solo project. It's now an actual band. I saw them play with Juno 44 last year in Chicago. They were killer. So they got a new song out, Shallow Grave. It's off an upcoming record called War Regards. Bring the volume down on the thing a little bit. It's 5 minutes. I don't know if we'll listen to the whole thing. I prefer to listen to stuff on headphones, but this is an interesting way to do it. Here's what Justin has to say about this song. And he used to run, or he still does run, File 13 Records, which started in Arkansas back in the 90s. Here's what Justin has to say. When File 13 Records office moved a few years ago, I guess a bill was still being mailed there for years that I didn't even know about. A collection agency finally emailed me claiming an insurmountable amount of late fees and interest on top of the actual debt. I'd never dealt with being sent to collections before, and they made my life miserable for a few weeks, calling me and even banging on the front door of my wife and I's house until my lawyer friend took care of it. I wrote Shallow Grave fictitiously about hearing that the collection agent that was harassing me had died. I immediately drove 300 miles to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he was actually based, walked up to his grave, spat on it, and then drove straight back to Chicago. All right, let's hear what this is. This is on Bandcamp right now. The vocals are awesome. That's what it's killing me. I can't remember what the other band that it's kind of a post-hardcore math rock band from the early thousands. His vocals so much remind me of Justin Trosper from Unwound in how effortless they sound. And I don't mean effortless like, oh, he's so naturally talented. It's effortless. I mean effortless in that he kind of embraces right where he's at. Like, this is the most natural that I can possibly sing, speak, whatever. So this is what it's going to be. There's like no pretension. That's killer. That one's going to make it to the blog, I think. So that window is going to have to stay open. It's killing me. We got to find out what his other band is called. Justin Sinkovich Discogs. Atom Bomb Pocket Knife. Atom Bomb Pocket Knife are killer. Their record with a red cover, lack in pattern, is incredible. Make sure that if you're into math rock kind of stuff or kind of post-hardcore, like later Unwound, June of 44, Rodan, Thumbnail, Drive Like Jehu, that kind of shit, check out Atom Bomb Pocket Knife. So this next one, we're not going to watch any of it because it's not going to be fun or exciting. But the video is called 1177 BC, When Civilization Collapsed, by Eric Klein. And this is the description from the Long Now Foundation. Consider this, optimists. All the societies in the world can collapse simultaneously. It has happened before. In the 12th century BCE, the great Bronze Age civilizations of the Mediterranean, all of them, suddenly fell apart. Their empires evaporated, their cities emptied out, their technologies disappeared, and famine ruled. Mycenae, Minos, Assyria, Hittites, Canaan, Cyprus, all gone. Even Egypt fell into a steep decline. The Bronze Age was over. This event should live in history as one of the great cautionary tales, but it hasn't because its causes were considered a mystery. How can we know what to be cautious of? Eric Klein has taken on this mystery. An archaeologist, historian at George Washington University, he's the author of 1177 BC, the year civilization collapsed. The failure, he suggests, was systemic. The highly complex, richly interconnected system of the world all tipped at once into chaos. I just started watching this. I'm really fascinated by it because the sort of difficult truth is that I think that probably within my lifetime, we're going to see a collapse of the United States and most of Europe. I very much believe that that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a myriad of causes, but I also think it's going to be the same causes that have caused civilizations or empires to collapse in the past. And I don't cheer this on. I think it is a very bad thing for humanity. But I think we're already on the edge of this, just in terms of how many people I know across the political spectrum who are trying to get away from cities, because I think cities are going to be the first thing to go. And that all the wreckage from the cities will spread outward. So I feel like I've talked to no shortage of people that want to be in places in North America that are difficult to access, which is a scary, grim thought. So that's kind of an interesting video. We're going to throw that on to watch later. All right, we close the whole window. Next one, New Noise Magazine again. This one I pulled for a totally different reason. So this is an album review of Der Weg einer Freiheit by the black metal band Nocturne. But here's why I pulled it. I saw this artwork, and for a minute, I thought, I have seen this before. Not only have I seen the cover before, I saw it years ago, designed by one of my own students in a graphic design class that I was teaching. I couldn't find the example, or I was too lazy, but I did send it to that student and say, hey, this could be a coincidence, but it feels very much in the same vibe. So here's the actual cover for this record. And then today I dug up the artwork by my student. So this was a poster for a film festival concept called A Bright Light. Not completely the same, but man, is it close. If it turns out that he has not put this work on the internet, so there's no chance that they ripped it off, but it's wild how close to each other people can get, especially because I saw this project come to life. It had a super rich and deep design process, so it's not like him and Nocturne saw the same thing and both ripped it off. It's more like they both figured out a technique and then thought it felt a certain way. And so it's almost more like they're cousins that don't know about each other. Long lost twins who can't help but enact a certain thing. We could actually check out what this record sounds like. It looks like I started it, but I don't remember it. Let's bring the volume down in this tab a little bit and see what's popping. Track 2. Let's see what this sounds like. I'm gonna tilt that to the side. We got some emo black metal here. Will this ever kick in? This tune is called Monument. Oh, of course I picked an 8-minute long one. Let's skip ahead. That's black metal. In general, I would say who cares? All right, finally, back to another tab. What do we got here? Vic Dykara Amazon page. Vic Dykara, he was a guitarist in the band Inside Out. He was in Beyond, the amazing late 80s New York hardcore band out of Long Island. And so he was in Beyond, moved to California, he joined Inside Out. They made the greatest hardcore 7-inch ever. Then he started the band 108 with Rob Fish from Resurrection and other people. I recently have rediscovered 108, and that's why I have Vic's Amazon page open. He was a devout Hare Krishna for decades before becoming disillusioned with it. Apparently he writes books on Vedic astrology, but I ended up on his page because he's got this book called Train Wrecks and Transcendence, a collision of hardcore and Hare Krishna. And so talks about, I guess it's a memoir basically, of moving from being a straight edge punk to discovering the Hare Krishnas, basically starting a Krishna band, almost like a propaganda unit for a while before most of the members of 108 got disillusioned with it. I need to order this book. This one I'm not quite as pumped on spending $20 on, so it might just sit open for a little bit, and at some point we will buy it. Because I am fascinated by it. I'm especially fascinated by people who join and leave cults. And Hare Krishna is 100% a cult. Oh, this is cool. So this is a great reason to be doing this. The artist Ross from Friends, who's on Flying Lotus's Brain Feeder label, has got a new record out. That record is called, this is the other window we have open, it's called Tread. It's got some killer artwork. This was the pre-order page. No idea how much of this is still available. Let's go pop that link in there. So what he did, he made an app called Thresho. And what it would do is, as he was improvising or recording music, this app would start recording. It was triggered by a certain threshold, and it would record anything that happened that hit that sound threshold. And he used all those pieces to make the actual album. So this website, thresho.rossfromfriends.net, has all of that music, all those snippets, and you can filter this stuff through different ways, by date, by length, by people making comments on them or replying to it, I believe, with other music. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it's fascinating. And there are things that range from 2 seconds long to like 30 minutes long, all made over the last 2 years. I am dying to dig into this. I've listened to a lot of it, but I really want to play with the stuff that he made, but I have too much shit on my plate. I have too many unfinished projects and I can't do it, but you should do it. This is a absolutely killer project. And let's set a filter. What do we got? Let's do all of 2020. Let's only look at, I'm trying to think, I'm gonna go by when I started to get depressed and couldn't handle life. Probably August. And let's go from shortest. All right, so this one, I don't know how long it is. Let's hit play on it. It's from August 25th, Tuesday. Very cool. Pause that one. Let's see what we got on this one. So you can download all of this stuff to work with. You can also download, let's pause that. So you can download all this stuff to work with. You can also download the Thresho M4L plugin so that you can apply this to the things that you're working to generate basically interesting form. So these are from the same day, kind of same session. Oh, that got cool. And then let's go. Yeah, see how it blanked out there because the sound went below that threshold? I think it's a volume thing. I don't think it's a frequency thing. Let's find a longer one. Let's see. Monday the 17th. It's the same kind of sound. I want to find a different kind of sound. Man, homie was all about this like aesthetic. August 21st. All right. Oh, this is a long one. This one is 14 minutes long. Let's jump further into it, see what happens. All right, so that's Threshold. It's such a cool project. I'm dying to play with some of this stuff, especially because for my own workflow or whatever, I like how much samples disrupt and kind of fuck with my preconceived notions. So that's cool. All right, what's our next one? Dead Guy, Killing Music, official t-shirt and stickers. I question how much I need this. I love Dead Guy, but I think I would rather just have an actual Dead Guy shirt. I do like this sticker. Sorry, you are not a winner. Pretty dope. But I might not need this in my life. I think I just need an actual Dead Guy shirt. This I need though. Bifocal Media, who I think made the Dead Guy documentary, Killing Music, They produce these limited edition shirts every so often. I've got a bunch of these open. I might send these all to my wife and be like, I found what I want for Christmas. So we got a Klickitat Katawi shirt, Sleepy Time Trio t-shirt. What else we got? This is the one I want. Swing Kids t-shirt. Swing Kids is one of my favorite hardcore bands of all time. Dope photo t-shirt. Gotta get that one. Hopefully you found something where you're like, oh, that's dope, I need that. Let's get that Swing Kids shirt into the links. If you've not heard Swing Kids, go look up their discography on Spotify. They were a short-lived band. It was Justin Pearson of The Locust and 7,000 other bands, but was in struggle before this. He's on vocals. Eric Allen from Unbroken was on guitar. Jose Palafox was also in struggle in a million other bands on drums. And John Brady from Spanacorzo was on bass. And they sounded like End of the Line or Hanshan. All right, this is some weird stuff I just found. Clumps of Alzheimer's associated molecule found in young adult brains. I found this in an email to myself from I don't know when. For some time, scientists have believed that an abnormal toxic molecule called amyloid, I don't know what that symbol is pronounced as, is the key mediator of the pathology of Alzheimer's disease. Although examinations of the brains of aged adults and those with the disease have shown that amyloid ACE, let's say, accumulates and forms clumps outside of cells, contributing to the formation of plaques, when it starts to build up has been unclear. Now, new research has found that it starts to accrue inside certain key populations of nerves in people as young as 20, which is significantly younger than scientists believed. Let's see if it tells us how we deal with this. We know these could be contributing to neuronal death in a number of ways. They can seep inside the cell. These clumps can cause excess amounts of calcium to begin to seep inside the cell, which can trigger cell death. Frightening. I probably just saved this to remind myself to sleep more. That is I believe, a huge predictor of Alzheimer's. All right, what do we got here? T-line fonts, Ambicase Fat Face font. My shit is all over the place. This is a font foundry from St. Paul. Just got an email that they have relaunched. I don't buy a lot of fonts, but I kind of like that this one is like a classic, like poster Bodoni, but weird. I think there is a chance I may pick this up. Look at this thing, Reflect Wink. I mean, that it's got all these swashes and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. It doesn't end up looking overly 90s-ish, which is a good thing, because that's what a lot of these Ambicase fonts, which is like they can kind of be uppercase or lowercase. I guess we call it unicase. These hybridized cut-up fonts, I mean, a lot of times it just looks like 1993 or whatever. That is pretty killer. I don't know how much it is. How do I buy you? The whole set is 130. Each weight is around 40. That's not too bad. So, all right, what do we got here? Free to Choose, a personal statement. Book by Milton Friedman. A powerful and persuasive discussion about economics, freedom, and the relationship between the two from today's brightest economist. In this classic discussion, Milton and Rose Friedman explain how our freedom has been eroded and our affluence undermined through the explosion of laws, regulations, agencies, and spending in Washington. This important analysis reveals what has gone wrong in America in the past and what is necessary for our economic health to flourish. I found this one in that same email. Someone I respect must have recommended this. One thing that's interesting is I have definitely flipped. I used to think when people said small government that they were being cruel or something. And one thing that I sort of realize is that when people are saying small government, the bigger the government is, the more that you have these unelected officials inside of all these different organizations who are kind of parasitic. And the more stuff, the the more regulations and whatnot that they can pass, the more they can suck value out of the system. So you have all these consultants and experts. We just passed this big infrastructure package, the Build Back Better package. The bulk of that money is going to go to experts and consultants, and probably to huge contractors who are then going to kick that money back to different politicians. And I think that when we talk about big government, it's those mechanisms that we're actually talking about. People who dig their way into working for or with the government in order to pull out for themselves shit that they probably shouldn't be getting. But am I going to buy and read that book? There's a lot of books behind me that already need to be read, so probably not. But it sounds fascinating. I do wonder who I was listening to that recommended it. It seems like it could have been a James Altucher thing. And then this one, Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World by Rene Girard. An astonishing work of cultural criticism, this book is widely recognized as a brilliant and devastating challenge to conventional views of literature, anthropology, religion, and psychoanalysis. In its scope and interest, it can be compared with Freud's Totem and Taboo. The subject, Girard refutes with polemic daring, vast erudition, and a persuasiveness that leaves the reader compelled to respond one way or another. This is another one about societal collapse. It talks about the conflict that arises when human rivals compete to differentiate themselves from each other, yet succeed only in becoming more and more alike. At certain points in the life of a society, according to Girard, this mimetic conflict erupts into a crisis in which all difference dissolves in indiscriminate violence. In primitive societies, such crises were resolved by the scapegoating mechanism in which the community en masse turned on an unpremeditated victim. I think I am going to be reading this one, since that aligns with my fears. An article, Pomodoro Technique. The Pomodoro Technique is a time management method developed by Francisco Cirillo in the late 1980s. It uses a timer to break work into intervals, traditional 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks. Each interval is known as a pomodoro, for the Italian word for tomato, after the tomato-shaped kitchen timer Cirillo used as a university student. I love this idea. I use a lot of this kind of stuff in my creative work, which is like setting a timer or defining a simple goal in a certain amount of time, and then either appraising when you run out of time or rewarding yourself for putting it in. So the original technique has 6 steps. Decide on the task to be done, set the Pomodoro timer, typically for 25 minutes, work on the task, end work when the timer rings and take a short break, typically 5 to 10 minutes. If you have fewer than 3 Pomodoros, go back to step 2 until you go through all 3 Pomodoros. After 3 are done, take the 4th and then take a long break, traditionally 20 to 30 minutes. Once the long break is finished, return to step 2. So the Pomodoro is considered the interval of work time. Really like this idea. And I think that if you struggle with procrastination or focus, this is when you want to get into this kind of thing, because you can't just do a whole big project. You have to define a specific physical task to do with your mind, hands, body in a certain amount of time, or work on it for a certain amount of time, take a break, jump back in, so on and so forth. Super good idea. This is so bizarre. I know this is bizarre. This I only have open because the headline is great. Tim Dillon thinks stand-up comics are mentally ill. I've been listening to a lot of stand-up since Norm Macdonald died, a lot of podcasts done by stand-up comedians. One thing that has struck me is how many stand-up comedians seem incapable of having a filter and are wired to push buttons and to say the things that they're not allowed to say. I think that when we judge stand-up comedians, like for being whatever you want to say, like if you want to say they're racist or mean or whatever, I think a lot of times it's normies, basically, who are wired a certain way and are very much wired to conform to the behavior and mores of the crowd. And I think a lot of the people that become stand-up comics, they're not wired like that. And if anything, they're wired to fight the crowd no matter what the crowd says. I think if you look at somebody like Tony Hinchcliffe, this seems very apparent. Or someone like Mark Normand, who almost seems to have a perpetual kind of what's that syndrome where you yell shit out that's inappropriate because your brain immediately goes to the wrong thing to say and then forces you to say it. I have no memory anymore. My brain is fried. It's fried from doing nothing. It's fried from stress and tiredness. I think when you see that, you definitely are seeing some semblance of this profession or artistic craft is very attractive to a certain type of wiring, and the vast majority of people cannot relate to it and misread it. So we'll listen to that later. What we got here, limited edition vinyl records from getondown.com. This is this great website that puts out really cool versions of, they put out new stuff too. Like I probably was on this website for a Czarface record, but they do cool shit like Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die 25th anniversary as a 9 7-inch set on colored vinyl. So each 7-inch has got 2 songs on it. That's pretty killer. I wonder if there's like a, let's see what they have in pre-orders. Pre-order Cypress Hill 30th anniversary colored vinyl of their debut record. Kind of like a split marbly black and red vinyl. It looks gorgeous, double LP. If you're into hip hop and vinyl, getondown.com. That's your spot. Soulassassins.com, DJ Muggs, Winter 2, Psychedelic Edition 12-inch, black vinyl with black obi. The reason that I have this open, because one, I'm not spending $100 on a 12-inch record. I will just listen to this record a lot. But DJ Muggs of Cypress Hill and Soul Assassins, the way that he is releasing stuff now is amazing. Puts out all his own stuff. Hold on, I need a sip. Let's go to the top level here. I mean, it's wild. One, there's a bunch of cool gear, but we need to get to the music section of this website. Music. And let's find like one of the newer things. Let's look at all the editions of this winter record. Oh, that thing that I had posted must already be sold out. That's so crazy. So the thing that I originally went to this page to see is already gone. So when he puts out records, he's putting out CDs and vinyl, hand-numbered editions, different colored obi strips, lenticular versions. He's really making like an artifact out of the physical record. Like that record is $100. I'm not spending $100 on a 12-inch. And there's nothing like, that's not the lenticular version. That's just a normal version of the record. I am really fascinated by how he is doing stuff right now. I wish that there was an archive section on here so that we could go back and look at more of the stuff, the way he's selling stuff. Like all the physical stuff on the website is sold out. The whole music page is now digital, and even then he's selling all the digital albums for $25. So he's cultivating a fan base. He's feeding them constantly. He's selling them MP3s at a price that's far higher than, say, the standard of digital distribution. I would guess that most of this stuff I can still get on iTunes for $9.99. But if I really want to support Mugs and Ito and Crime Apple and Mayhem Loren, then I'm going to spend the 25 at his website and try to get more to them, and pay $100 for a 12-inch just because it's got a an obi strip or whichever color of the obi strip I want. It's kind of a trip, and there's probably like a model in here for more musicians, because this is one of those things where it seems like rappers always get it. They just always fucking get it. Umzu. So I must have seen one of those ads on YouTube. I still haven't clicked on it. Who knows? COVID-19 vaccine surveillance. This is the thing that will get me banned. This is a bummer. It's from the UK government. Literally, service.gov.uk. They do these weekly reports of what is happening with COVID. I have this on the page. Deaths within 60 days of positive COVID test by date of death between weeks 42 and week 45. So these are these are deaths over a 3-week period within 60 days of a positive COVID test. Under 18, this is important because people keep freaking out about kids. Total deaths in that 3 weeks is 14. I don't know what unlinked means. In this instance, non-vaccinated is 12. Vaccinated with 1 dose is 1. A bunch of unvaccinated kids dying of COVID. Those kids were probably sick as fuck already. I believe the average number of comorbidities and 95% of deaths in children is 4. But then here's where it gets scary, because that's not scary, whatever. Let's look at age. Where do we see it at? So there was something in here that I was looking for. I wonder if I was just looking for the youth thing. Oh, here's the thing that was scary. Okay, deaths over a 3-week period, ages, let's say 70 to 79. And this is in the UK, where like there's massive numbers of people, upwards of 85%, I think, of elderly people are vaccinated. The ones who aren't are probably very sick. So we had total deaths, 1,157. Not vaccinated. So of those, the people that died that aren't vaccinated, who we assume are sick as hell, 166. Fully vaccinated, 960. I will just let you process that. All the people, the 166 that aren't vaccinated, it was very likely that the reason they weren't vaccinated is because they were considered too sick to be vaccinated, that they couldn't risk any possible adverse side effect from the vaccine, like the normal ones. And you have 166 deaths, then you have 960. Out of the vast majority of that isn't fully vaccinated people. Do with that what you will. So that's a bummer. And then, this is dope. Okay. Got a couple more. We're going to go for it. This is a collection of hardcore and punk flyers from Guav, who was not in Earth Crisis, but he put out the first Earth Crisis 7-inch. He booked shows in Syracuse in the 90s, designed a lot of flyers, designed the Earth Crisis records, at least the first 2. A lot of this stuff is like the stuff that he has collected. Classic stuff. Life's Blood, Underdog, Gorilla Biscuits. But then I want to get to the section of the stuff where you can tell he designed it. That's the really dope stuff. Here we go. So this flyer. So a lot of his stuff he would use antique olive. I think that might be what's in here. This could be Futura, but he would just stretch it out and fill the whole composition with it. That's one. This is probably him. I don't like the ones as much where they have multiple typefaces. I like the ones where it's like this. This is dope. Just one font, a wall of type. I'm definitely going to make Hal effect stuff that looks like this. Look at this show. Worlds Collide, Flagman. Oh, that's actually just 2 bands. This one's dope, though. Worlds Collide, No Escape, Railhead, 1992. I love this one. It's like so funny. The hierarchy just disappears in the type, but it's so dope. And this one's incredible. Awesome photo. Endpoint, Edgewise, Resurrection, Lifetime. Love the layout. I love the typography. This one, all Bookman. Shelter, Face Value, Four Walls Falling, Kingpin, Encounter. Never heard Ocean of Mercy. Unbroken Flyer. That one kind of sucks. I don't like that one. I don't like the ones with the gradient type as much. This is dope, though. Full bleed photo. The lockup of the antique olive font. So dope. Shelter, Eye for an Eye, Boston Hardcore. This one's dope, too. One is such a sick lineup. 108, Askance, Earth Crisis, Conviction and Chokehold, more Antique Olive. Go check that out. If you like hardcore artifacts or are a fan of Earth Crisis in the early 90s Syracuse hardcore scene. That reminded me of something that was open. Where is it? Flag Camp. Flag Camp showed up on a couple of those. They were from Canada. So they were therefore close to Syracuse. Let's end on this because this has been really long. I hope that you dug this. So I'd never heard Flag Camp. I heard of Flag Camp, but I'd never heard them. But then Dave Leto from Rye Coalition was on whatever that Conan Neutrino podcast is called. And he's talked about how they were obsessed with the Flag Camp LP and that they were often trying to rip it off. I listened to it for the first time right after that interview. I don't remember when it was from. So let's check this out. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. The drums, they're not right. It's fucking awesome. The drums are awesome, but they do the opposite thing in the guitars. So good. Kind of minimal math rock or something. You can totally see how that was an influence on early Rye Coalition stuff, the first maybe 2 LPs. So that's Flag Camp. That's fucking awesome. Close that up. All right. So that was the first episode of Link Dump. We actually didn't get through everything because over an hour seems like enough for a debut episode. I see a lot more music links, random movies that I apparently, a lot of new music, other stuff. So I hope that you dug this. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment. What did you like about it? It would be helpful to know. If there's anything that you think should end up in the Link Dump in the future, oh, dude, you should check this out, let me know. Make sure you subscribe. Also, check out Pizza Night, the podcast I do with my wife, Kim, that is basically about life stuff. And I think it's good. So, thank you. And thanks for joining me in this experiment, episode 1 of Link Dump.